Chain attacks are unlocked around the middle of chapter 3 from Xenoblade 2, and they're one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. They let you deal a ton of damage, and they can let you gain so much extra experience that you will never have to grind in this game. As long as you know what you're doing, of course. Understanding how they work can make your playthrough a lot more enjoyable. So, here is a complete guide on chain attacks in Xenoblade 2. Alright, let's start off with the basics. When are you able to use a chain attack? It's when this blue bar, also known as the party gauge, is completely filled up. There are many things you can do to build it up. To put it simply, it will fill up as long as you're playing the game well. But here is a short list of everything you can do. 1. Triggering an art's bonus effect. For example, hitting Rex's sword bash from the back or Pyra's level 2 blade special on toppled enemies. 2. Triggering a critical hit. 3. Picking up HP potions. 4. Using driver combos, aka break, topple, launch and smash. And 5. Performing blade combos. Now that we know this, let's actually talk about chain attacks themselves. You can start a chain attack by simply pressing the plus button while your party gauge is full. During one, the enemy can't move and all drivers on your team take turns to let their blades attack. If you didn't do any setup throughout the fight prior to it, the chain attack will end after everyone attacked once. But of course, the chain attack will last longer if you completed level 3 blade combos. I already explained how to do them in my previous guide, so long story short, every time you finish a level 3 combo, an elemental orb will start spinning around the enemy. This orb will have the same element as the blade that finished the combo and got a cutscene for their attack. During chain attacks, every attack from your blades will also damage one of the orbs, and if you break one of them, you will get another chain attack round. Every orb will break after you hit it 3 times, so you're guaranteed to get a second chain attack round if there is only one orb on the enemy. Once there are 2 or more orbs though, it gets more complicated, because your blades will now randomly target one of them. This is why you need to keep the elemental weaknesses in mind. Your blades will always prioritize to hit orbs from the opposite element that they have. On top of that, if you hit an orb from the opposite element, you will deal extra damage to it. Orbs practically have 3 HP. Normally your attacks will each do 1 HP of damage, but if you're targeting a weakness, you will do 2 HP of damage instead. Here is every element and what they are weak to. They all form a pair. For example, fire is weak to water and water is also weak to fire. All of this is to say, chain attacks in Xenoblade 2 reward you for planning ahead. Throughout the whole fight, you need to choose the right blade combos to go for, so that you will have orbs that can easily break. Before the fight even begins, you want to make sure that you're using some blades that are from opposite elements. It's also definitely not a bad thing if you have blades from the same element on different drivers. In fact, I recommend you to put at least one element on 2 different characters, so it becomes easier to break orbs. Some players try to have every single element on their team, but this is not necessary. It's way more important that you have a good plan to get past the first or even second round of a chain attack. The longer it keeps going, the more powerful your attacks become. During chain attacks, you can see a damage multiplier on the left of your screen. It will increase every time you break an orb. Once you depleted all the HP of an enemy though, you'll notice that your chain attack won't end. Instead, it now goes into overkill mode. The damage multiplier won't increase anymore, and instead you're now working with the bonus multiplier. For every attack that you do, you will get more experience, more money, and more item drops once the chain attack ends. Most unique monsters or story bosses already give a ton of experience, so if you get a good overkill, you can level up much faster. You might have noticed that sometimes you can't use the same blade for 2 rounds in a row. Yeah, your blades can go on a cooldown if certain conditions aren't met. This is why you need to press the B button every round. If you miss, the last blade that you've used will be locked out. But again, this gets complicated. After a blade is used, they basically have 0% of their energy remaining, and the B button press only gives you a 50% recharge to your blades. The other 50% you need is gained when you break an orb. Okay, to put it simply, if you didn't break any orb since the last time you attacked with a driver, then their last used blade will be on a cooldown. In this example, I haven't broken any orbs since Drawmark's last attack, so I can't use him this turn. These are the fundamentals of chain attacks, but I still have some important tips left. You might know that your blade specials do more damage if the enemy is inflicted by break, topple or launch. This also applies in a chain attack. You do have to inflict break beforehand, but the timer for driver combos slows down significantly in chain attacks. Break and topple can last for multiple rounds, but launch will still run out after 2 or 3 attacks because of gravity. If you want to do a longer chain attack, you'll get more damage out of topple than launch. Another good thing to know is that chain attacks make it so that your attacks will never miss, and they will also make you invincible. So if an enemy has a really long lasting attack, you can activate a chain attack and you'll be completely fine. Just make sure that you time it correctly. As for tip number 3, there are some accessories or pouch items that will power up your chain attacks or that will speed up how fast the party gauge charges. On top of them, there are also some aux cores that you can put on your blades that really change how chain attacks work. Elemental Orb Ender will let you destroy an orb from the opposite element in one hit. Another good aux core is Elemental Orb Prioritizer. If there are no orbs from their opposite element, your blade with this equipped will always target the orb that has already taken the most damage. You can get these aux cores from around chapter 4 or 5, so if you have them, I definitely recommend to experiment with them. There are even some blades with skills that will completely change how the game works. For example, some common blades have a skill named Orb Master. Blades with this skill can apply an elemental orb with any special, even if it's not during a blade combo. In general, I recommend everyone to always look at your blade's affinity charts. Any blade can have a skill that will make the game a lot easier. There is one more aspect that I haven't covered yet, and that's the full burst. This is explained in the very first chain attack tutorial, but most people go their entire playthrough without pulling this off even once, so you can just see this as extra knowledge. Anyways, you might have noticed that during chain attacks, there is a bar on the top left that fills up whenever you break orbs. Once you have broken around 4 or 5 orbs, the meter completely fills up and you will trigger a full burst. This will automatically break all other orbs to give you a huge increase to your damage ratio. Now all of your characters will attack the enemy, and you get to do a level 4 special of the driver and blade that you broke the last orb with. Again, this is not easy to trigger, but don't worry, you won't need to do this much damage unless you're in the post game or if you're fighting enemies that are 10 levels higher than you. That's everything you need to know about chain attacks in Xenoblade 2. If you understood everything from this video, then the game should become a lot easier from now. If this guide helped you, then you can leave a like or a comment to help me out. I also make a lot of other videos related to the Xenoblade games, so subscribe if you also love Xenoblade. Thanks for watching, this has been Maxmonado, signing out.